Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another card video. In today's card, I'm using the You Move Me set because I wanted to show you that you could use this set not just for the animation, but without the animation. So I'm going to be using the inside of this butterfly and the outside die. I'm also using the small butterfly die. I'm using the sentiment from in here and the small butterfly stamp. And we'll get to all that. The first thing I'm going to do is take my outline butterfly die and I'm going to cut So Saffron, Soft Sky, and Smoky Slate. And then I'm going to cut the inside, including the outline, out of some vellum. This is Simon Says Stamp vellum. And what I'm going to do, since I'm going to have to cut 3 of these, is I'm going to get them lined up just right. And then I'm going to take some surgical tape and I'm going to lay it straight across really carefully in 2 areas. And that way I can sort of peel this off and cut it multiple times. So I have a little bit on the vellum. I don't need much on the vellum. So I'll pull this out here and pull out as many pieces as I can, but mainly I just want to get this bigger kind of butterfly piece out of the die so that I can cut it again. So those 2 dies will stay together with my tape and then I can cut them out 3 times. Now once I get them all cut out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the antenna. So I'm just going to kind of round out the wings toward the center, just kind of keep that line going until they meet in the center. So I'm going to do this with all 3 of these. And then I'm going to take my black marker. I'm using a Stampin' Up! Black marker and I just took it out of the package. So I had no idea how dried out my other marker was until I started using this one. And the ink is spreading like wildfire when I use it. So I'm coloring the antenna and then I'm going to draw a little head here. I wish there was a stamp for this, but there's not, so I'm just going to draw it, and it's going to be underneath my vellum, so it's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm just drawing my butterfly body, and it's getting a little wider than I had originally wanted because my pen is just so full of ink, and I'm happy to have it, but it just takes a little bit of getting used to. So anyway, I'm going to do all 3 of these. And now I'm going to glue on my wings, and this is when I started having problems, but not until the second one. So I put some 2A glue on the back of just the middle part of the wings on the vellum. I pushed it down and everything was fine. It looked great, so I pushed that off to the side. I started working on my So Saffron, and when I pushed it down onto my cardstock, and you'll see this in a second, I'm going to press it there and hold it, and then when I picked up my finger, I noticed that the glue spread, and then I didn't even notice at this point. Now I'm picking it back up. I'm like, wait a second. The marker bled, and so it looked terrible. And I decided I was going to redo it, but I wanted to finish the blue one first. And this one bled a little bit at the bottom, but it wasn't enough for me to redo the whole thing. So you can see up close here. I was thinking that the glue was there was too much glue on there. So anyway, we'll try that again, but in the meantime, I'm going to finish off these butterflies by also drawing on top of the vellum, and this will cover the glue marks that I have underneath there. Okay, so here's the new So Saffron, and I decided, maybe I had too much ink, so I'm going to use my fine tip to color this in. And then I took my vellum piece and I just dotted some glue in the middle, so very little bit. And so I put it on there and I pressed it down. And yeah, it did not work, so it bled again. You can see I kind of slammed my craft mat there. So here I am doing it a 3rd time, and 3rd time's a charm. I decided to try something different. So I took a glue dot and I kind of rolled it up into a snake, and I put it on the back of my vellum, and it was actually really easy to do. This is a Stampin' Up! Glue dot. It's about 1/4 of an inch in diameter. So I'm just going to kind of roll it out and put it right down the middle of this butterfly, and this worked perfectly. So I wish I would have done that with the other 2, but I created this card the first time with all 3 butterflies and did not have any problem whatsoever. So I'm not sure why I was having problems the second time around. Anyway, so you can still see the glue through it, but it's a line just like that 2A glue pen. So I'm going to color right over that, and sorry about my head here. It seems to be appearing quite a bit in this video for some reason. Anyway, so now I'm moving on to the next step, which is creating this cardstock piece for the middle of my card. So this piece of black is 1 inch thick. And so I'm going to mark 1/2 inch on both sides, and that's how I'm going to center the middle strip. Now I have the same colored cardstock, the Smoky Slate, the So Saffron, and the Soft Sky, and I'm going to do my So Saffron first. These are 1/4 of an inch thick, and I'll put it right down the middle and then trim off the edge. And then I'm going to do the blue next, which is going to be right underneath, and then I'll put the gray on the other side. So you should get it straight there in the middle if you start with your So Saffron. And now I'm making my next mistake, which is to draw these outlines, which I did on the first version of this card and I didn't have any problems. So anyway, you'll find out in a second. Now I put some ATG tape runner on the back of my colored strip and put that in the middle. And now I'm going to add some splatters. So I'm using my Gansai Tombi black palette, which gives me the best splatters. I love using this. It's really opaque. So I'm going to put some water on my brush, and then I forgot to wipe the water off the brush itself. I usually do that. This time I forgot to do it. So here I am reloading my paint, and I feel like I've got a lot. And then when I tap it, I get a big watermark right over this Stampin' Up! Black marker line that I drew. So I grabbed a tissue quickly, but had already bled quite a bit. And then I dropped another water droplet right there. So I'm going to pick it up with the tissue, and it's bleeding right there. So it looks terrible. So I decide immediately I'm going to take this colored strip off and preserve it and just put it on a new card base and start my splatters over again. So I got that off, and then I'm going to freeze frame here. Oh boy. So I just smudged all of those splatters with my finger. So now I had to start all over again. So I redid that whole color strip and did not draw my Stampin' Up! Lines, the black marker lines, because you know, it's going to bleed if I get the water splatters on it. And now I have a tissue, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to wipe my brush so none of those water droplets will get on my cardstock. And I had the perfect amount of water this time, so I got the droplets exactly the way I wanted them to be. And what's funny is I completely forgot to draw those black outlines, and I didn't realize it until after I'd already taken the pictures and everything. So anyway, I think I actually like it without them. So now I'm going to adhere two of my butterflies, the blue one and the gray one, and I put some Tombow glue behind it, and I'm going to put it so that the bottom of this butterfly touches the bottom of my So Saffron strip. And then for the gray one, I'm going to place it so that the top of this butterfly hits the top of the So Saffron strip. And now I'm going to stamp my sentiment because my yellow butterfly is going to be popped up a little bit, and I didn't want to have any issues in my MISTI. So I stamped these with Hero Arts black ink, and then there's also one for the inside. It has a period at the end, which I really like because it sort of completes the sentence. I put some Scotch foam tape on the back of my yellow butterfly, and I centered that one right on top. And I had that one popping up a little bit so I wouldn't smush the other butterflies. Now I created these for a different project. There's a stamp for a little butterfly in the set, and I did that with some Versamark ink on black cardstock. And then there's that small butterfly die which cuts the antenna. It's a really pretty butterfly outline. So I cut that out using the die, and then I used my pick-me-up stick and put some two-way glue pen on the back of all three of these and just place them there in the lower right-hand corner of the inside of the card. And that is the card. It was kind of painful to make this card, but it really is not that hard. I just kind of kept making dumb mistakes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.